Dear colleagues, I'd like to propose that we move now on to the examination item 21, other business. Do you have any issues you wish to discuss under this item? Hungary, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. The Hungarian delegation has tabled an amendment under this agenda item, under business. May I, with your permission, ask that the amendment be tabled so that I can more quickly give the rationale behind the text, if that is acceptable to save time. Mr. Chair, can we proceed in this manner?
Are you asking for the original amendment or the revised amendment?
The revised amendment.
Okay, I think it might take a bit of time. Okay, we're ready.
But maybe by way of introduction, I would say that the reason why we are proposing this amendment at this stage is because we see this as a cross-cutting issue that relates to several agenda items that have been discussed during this week, namely and in particular 5B, 8A, 9, 11C, 11D, 14, and the just recently discussed 15. Now I see the text on the screen. So the text reads as invites the Secretariat to prepare a report on the use of international assistance mechanism and capacity building programs in relation to elements on the list of intangible cultural heritage in need of urgent safeguarding, as well as to explore further possibilities for utilizing these in order to safeguard elements on the list of intangible cultural heritage in need of urgent safeguarding, considering also the communication of the Convention. So already from the text you see that actually it touches upon the IA mechanism, the capacity building program, the safeguard, and most importantly, the safeguarding of elements on the list of urgent safeguarding list. We see this really as a cross-cutting issue, and we are proposing this overview of the current situation in order to enable the committee to have a better overview of the situation and maybe to explore further possibilities in this regard, and to feed the further reflection of all these interrelated issues. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you so much, Hungary, for the introduction of a new draft decision under this item. Yeah, I think we'd better proceed to the adoption of this draft decision. Yeah, before taking decision, I'd like to ask Mr. Secretary to add something to this draft decision.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It is just, I don't know if it's the confusion caused by the previous item, which I will need to become more familiar with, but we had a draft amendment and then we just got a revision which adds this considering also the communication of the Convention, which is very confusing. And I no longer understand what we are being invited to do. So if the delegate from Hungary would kindly go back to the original draft decision which we had discussed and not have that considering also the communication of the Convention, which adds confusion and which I would like to discuss, I'd prefer not to. And finally, I wonder whether it's possible to include it in the report of the Secretariat so as to avoid parallel reporting mechanisms. But considering also the communication of the Convention is now confusing in relation to what I initially understood the amendment to read. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tinkotis. I think Hungary can comment on statement by Secretariat.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. In order to save time, I would just say in a flexible manner that I can accept to delete the last part, just simply because it's too late and maybe it is not really worth a long debate on that small segment. just to go along with your suggestion, I can accept deleting that part. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hungary. Now I give the floor to Turkey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just thinking, I mean, to adopt this all by itself here under agenda item 21 seemed very inconvenient to me. I mean, I'm just asking the Secretariat and the members of the committee, would it be maybe possible to reflect it in the relevant agenda item, which I believe was 7? I mean, I know that we already adopted, but is there any way that we could just do it for an exceptional basis, maybe? Just to ask that, but I'm not going to insist on that if not possible. Thank you.
Algérie.
Effectivement, Monsieur le Président, cet amendement a l'air un peu isolé, là, un peu orphelin, tout seul, avec juste un seul paragraphe qui invite le secrétariat. Et c'est juste une question de forme, on n'a pas l'habitude de ce type d'amendement tout seul et scellé. Peut-être sur une base exceptionnelle pourrons-nous, comme l'a suggéré la Turquie, de l'intégrer dans une décision plus appropriée.
Yeah, Secretariat will Ambassador Munir.
Actually, I have no problem with the idea. I understand the idea of our colleague from Hungary, but I want to ask him a question. He is inviting the Secretariat to prepare another report, or he's inviting the Secretariat to include in its report the use of international and so on for the elements in need of urgent safeguarding. So it's a question, maybe he can clarify it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Philippines.
Thank you, Chair. We'd also be happy to listen to the response of Hungary on this. We have no problem with the idea. I think there's two basic options. As Turkey and Algeria have motioned, we could reopen the decision if that's what the committee wishes, or we could leave it here and do something as suggested by Palestine in a way to include this in the report on the relevant item, which in our view maybe would be 8A in our agenda of this meeting. So I think there's two options at the time, but we leave it in your good hands to decide. Thank you.
Okay, allow Secretariat. Yeah, Secretariat is looking for some relevant items.
Thank you. We're just having a quick look to perhaps try to help with this. Item 7, as was suggested by Turkey, is mainly financial reporting, whereas this seems to be a more substantive reporting. Perhaps it could be an annex to the report of the Secretariat or part of the report of the Secretariat, in which case it would come under 5B. And then if we put it in the report of the Secretariat, it allows us to cover any part financially where or how we're going to do this study. So that gives us the flexibility to find a place for it when we do it, and then report on it within the report of the Secretariat. And indeed, we would prefer to avoid extra reporting processes. Thank you.
Turkey.
Thank you. After listening to Mr. Curtis, I think we would also feel that we should reflect it in the report of the Secretary on the relevant item, because having second thoughts, we should not be opening the decisions adopted. So I think that will be the best way to approach this issue. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Turkey. I think it's originally the proposal. The Hungary's opinion is very important. So I give the floor to Hungary.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank I thank those delegations who have asked the question about the time frame of this report. Our understanding is that this report is not part of the yearly report or the year and a half report of the Secretariat. So the report should not only cover the period from January until the next committee session, but it should cover the whole lifespan of the urgent safeguarding list. So all the, ever since we have inscribed element on the USL list, we would like a report that gives us an overview of the situation. To what extent elements on that list have benefited from international assistance requests, to what extent capacity building have been used for their safeguarding, and explore further possibilities in this sense. So this is why it is meant to be a report and not the part of the yearly report of the Secretariat. But if the Secretary says that it could still be an annex to the yearly report, that's fine. It's just important that it be a much longer time span. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Hungary. Yeah, Secretariat has no problem with your proposal, your comment. You want to comment?
Just to clarify, we will produce a report on this issue, included as an annex to the Secretariat's report. It will not cover only the yearly activities. That is understood. Perhaps we can, do we need to reword as an annex to the Secretariat's report, just at the ad? And we'll put the words as an annex. Does that work? Okay. It's on the record. We'll keep it and we'll come back, and it's I think it's clear. Thank you.
Okay, dear colleagues, now we have to proceed to adoption of draft decision 12.com/21 with the form of annex of Secretary report.
Yes.
So can I take it that our committee has decided to adopt draft decision 12.com/21 as adopted as proposed by Hungary with a cosmetic editorial change? I see no objection. Therefore, the draft decision 12.com/21 is adopted. Any other matters under this item? Other business? Mr. Nassim Mohammed of Algeria? Nothing? You asked that had a Jeju, we can find some fuku or puffer fish in Korean burger. We don't have.
Vous m'aviez dit que c'était pas la saison, Monsieur le Président. Donc nous en profiterons une prochaine fois quand nous serons sur cette belle terre de Corée.
Prochainement. Ok, Sénégal.
Merci. Je croyais ne pas être dans les questions diverses, parce que pour moi, les questions diverses, c'était autre chose. Bon. Maintenant, est-ce qu'il faut attendre au moment de la clôture pour le faire ou le faire maintenant? De peur d'être en hors-sujet, mais je vais le faire quand même. Je vais le faire. Ce que je vais faire, c'est d'abord me féliciter, et je pense que tous les membres du comité également s'en félicitent, de l'ambiance dans laquelle ces travaux ont été menés, et féliciter le secrétariat et surtout la présidence, vraiment, bien sûr, et ses adjoints, notamment notre collègue de la Turquie et notre collègue de la Colombie, c'est ça, qui ont assuré, ils nous ont permis donc d'avoir des travaux dans une bonne ambiance. En tout cas, de manière générale, ces travaux se sont très bien déroulés, et on félicite vraiment la présidence et le secrétariat pour ce travail. Bien sûr, on félicite également le gouvernement coréen pour nous avoir permis de le faire. Maintenant, je vais quand même faire à l'endroit du secrétariat. D'ailleurs, je l'ai déjà fait dans le rapport. Moi, j'ai déjà évalué. J'ai fini d'évaluer et j'ai déjà envoyé. j'ai fait quelques propositions, peut-être que vous verrez, pour améliorer la participation des États membres du comité. C'est très difficile quelquefois de se retrouver sur un desk quand on est membre du comité, parce qu'on doit être là, ou de se retrouver à 2, simplement. Ça pose problème. Vous comprenez par où je veux venir. Si certaines délégations peuvent venir à 5 ou 6, tant mieux. Ça renforce vraiment la qualité de la participation. D'ailleurs, je les félicite pour ça, mais certains ne peuvent pas le faire malheureusement. Donc, qu'on y réfléchisse, qu'on trouve des solutions pour améliorer la participation de qualité des pays comme les nôtres, en développement, si vous voulez. Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président. Hamza Hamida.
Je vous remercie. 감사합니다.